make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back on its speed. Look back, look what you the stars. Look back, girl, you look normal. Now you know you're doing. You know you're doing. Girl, you know you're doing. When you face for the eye contact. Yeah. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. You're only looking normal, girl, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, how you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back on its speed. Look back, look what you the stars. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. When you face for the eye contact. Father, if you send this lady, I just wanna tell you thank you, Jah. With that miraculous ways, me, I do not intend on leaving that. Just do what you say. Tell how you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back on its speed. Look back, look what you the stars. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. When you face for the eye contact. Girl, any man that get that rude wine no want to come back by you again. Hey, what's yet if you bust that rude smile, they will never look at you the same. Aye, girl, how you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back on its speed. Look back, look what you the stars. Look back, girl, you look normal, now you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. When you face for the eye contact. Yeah. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. Girl, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, how you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back on its speed. Look back, look what you the stars. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. When you face for the eye contact. Father, if you send this lady, I just wanna tell you thank you, Jah. With that miraculous ways, me, I do not intend on leaving that. Just do what you say. Tell how you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back on its speed. Look back, look what you the stars. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. When you face for the eye contact. Girl, any man that get that rude wine no want to come back by you again. Hey, what's yet if you bust that rude smile, they will never look at you the same. Aye, girl, how you look back at it, eye contact.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Yes, indeed. Trinidad and Tobago once was a paradise. Can it return to its previous pristine position of being a paradise, both in terms of practicality, in terms of beauty, in terms of aesthetics, in terms of the people, in terms of the friendly and wise carnival mentality, but certainly we have had a history of cordiality rather than, of course, the bigotry, the devastations, and the antagonism that seem to be characteristic and or characterize Trinidad and Tobago today. In fact, we have been claimed to be, of course, the sixth most dangerous country in the world, and of course for murders, well, we are much higher, too high, not to be embarrassed for saying such. That being as it may, have a wonderful night. We will have a wonderful night, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Friends and Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, indeed, we are looking, of course, nostalgically as well, but saying that Trinidad and Tobago can return to the paradise it once was. Let's see some of the music that will accompany and will motivate us to that level and in that direction.
You only looking normal, yeah. But you know where the way, you know where the way. Hello, when you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back at the speed. Look back, look what you just cause. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know where the way. You know where the way, girl, you know where the way. You give you face for the eye contact. Father, if you send this lady, I just wanna tell you thank you, John. With that miraculous ways, I do not intend on leaving that. Just do what you see. Now you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back at the speed. Look back, look what you just cause. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. You give your face to the eye contact. Girl, every man that get that food when no one to come back by you again. What's your if you bust that root smile, they will never look at you the same. Aye, tell her when you look back at it, eye contact. I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back at the speed. Look back, look what you just cause. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Girl, you know what you're doing. You give your face to the eye contact. Yeah. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. Look back at it.
It's Trinidad and Tobago, the paradise that we know it to be. That is the burning question, of course. And we are going to answer that question tonight. Yes, indeed. Because the minister who is claiming that the government is bent on providing this so-called paradise, himself being a victim of the decadence. Yes, the decadence that is, of course, Trinidad and Tobago today. And therefore, we have a duty and responsibility to, of course, share that and to let people know what the reality is with Trinidad and Tobago today. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I ain't getting audio here. I wonder why. Why is there no audio, Mr. Dialsing? Why is there no audio? Yes, indeed. But of course, the situation is such. Let me make sure that everything is all right here. In terms of audio. Why is it that there's no audio? Yes, indeed. But people, of course, yes, I promise you that I'll get a better video for you, video and audio, and there we have it, of course, it's there, and I'm just merely looking at the audio aspect of it. We just completed, of course, editing it.
Fix the streets, we're tired of running from those thieves. Oh, Terrence, where's your blade? Those bandits took it, now you're missing a thing. Now you know how the people feel when crime comes knocking and it's way too
Yes, indeed, of course, and that tune last night, it was also, of course, was created one time. That is the inventiveness of Trinbagonians. Let's start from the top.
Down at the bar, just 5 o'clock. Terrence was chillin', talking the talk. And we of the people, he's feeling so fine. Took a run, it's rolling, and now it's crime time. One said, hey Terrence, that's a shiny thing. Let's make it quick, don't let the bell ring. Before he knew it, his fist was bare. Terrence lost his bracelet right then and there. Oh Terrence, Terrence, where's your bling? Those bandits took it, now you're missing a thing. Now you know how the people feel when crime comes knocking and it's way too real. Oh Terrence, Terrence, looking so lost. Guess you know now what safety costs. In this land where fear runs free, it's not just you, it's all of we. He never thought in broad daylight a bracelet robbery would give him a fight. All those speeches, all those laws. Now Terrence sees the crime with no pause. He called for backup, but they didn't show. Guess the everyday folks already know. No superhero, no quick fix. Now Terrence is in the mix. Oh Terrence, Terrence, where's your bling? Those bandits took it, now you're missing a thing. Now you know how the people feel when crime comes knocking and it's way too real. Oh Terrence, Terrence, looking so lost. Guess you know now what safety costs. In this land where fear runs free, it's not just you, it's all of we. From Owen to Maraval, the stories the same. People getting robbed, but it's not a game. Maybe now you'll fight the fight, cause we need change day and night. It's more than a bracelet, more than a scare. Terrence, it's time to show you care. Fix the laws, fix the streets. We're tired of running from those thieves. Oh Terrence, Terrence, where's your bling? Those bandits took it, now you're missing a thing. Now you know how the people feel when crime comes knocking and it's way too real. Oh Terrence, Terrence, looking so lost. Guess you know now what safety costs. In this land where fear runs free, it's not just you, it's all of we. So Terrence, now you've learned the deal. Crime is no joke, it's far too real. But if you stand up and take a lead, maybe one day we'll all be freed.
Yes, indeed, people. Pleasant good night once again to all and sundry. It feels good, of course, to be able to bring this piece of information to you because you see, to whom much is given, much is expected. And when, of course, as we have often said on this program,
Down at the bar, just 5 o'clock. Terrence was
who the gods wish to destroy, the first send them mad.
Feeling so
Who the gods wish to destroy, the first send them mad. But more significantly, it is also said that evil will follow evil, and the evil men do will follow them, and that evil cannot prevail, and that these are mere signs of the horrific manifestation of maladministration in Trinidad and Tobago. Because we have drawn the conclusion last night and on the Gong report this morning that the assailants, the bandits, knew their victim. Yes, indeed, cannot escape that. And at any rate, based on the circumstance, the local and the physical settings of the area where the incident took place, there could be no doubt that Diyal Singh was in fact the target, as Diyal Singh, the Minister of Health. Yes, indeed. You know what I say? I say that Diyal Singh, and nobody could say that they didn't know that this was not Diyal Singh. Of course, I understand that several persons, I think 2 persons, were were apprehended by the police for this crime. But the reality is, and I want to say immediately, as I did on the ground report, that may well, of course, improve the detection statistics of the police. This is a singular event would have improved the detection statistics of the police. And one wonders, why is it that could not be done in other circumstances with less known citizens? But I suppose the police and all, they have their priority as well. They have their priorities. So I would not be surprised. But whether they could take comfort of having a better detection ratio because of this singular incident, no different, of course, to the attack on Imsbert's son, who was relieved of his cell phone. No different to the attack on Fitzgerald Hines, the current Minister of National Security and the parliamentary representative for Laventille West, who was under some heavy dirty water, heavy canal water, heavy swampy water, heavy rat and vermin infested and insect infested water, had to hightail out of the Beetham. No different. And no different, I would expect, when the wrath of the people would have descended on the entire cabinet of this country, the entire government, whenever the election would have been called and concluded, and the result to show a resounding whether you want to call it whitewash, blackwash, brownwash, whether you want to call it an overwhelming victory, whether you want to call it a massive victory for the UNC, is the inevitable outcome. Let us not waste time. What is happening to this government, whether you want to call it karma, you want to call it a serendipity, you want to call it the wrath of the Almighty, you want to call it poetic justice, all of the above will aptly describe the circumstances that this government has found itself largely because of its own doing or doings. You see, to whom much is given, much is expected. And there is a sacred oath that every single member of the government would have taken, whether it be part of the substantive cabinet or the kitchen cabinet, persons who would have been appointed as directors, etc., of state enterprises and companies. The fact of the matter is that there's a sacred oath to do the best you can for the population. And the best cannot be that with all of that resource, you see, we have the benefit of comparative analysis, and there is no way any member of that government of Rowley and his associates can, of course, attempt to justify having met over $10 billion in reserve, having met over $5 billion in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, An initiative, of course, not by the PNM over the many decades that they would have and demonstrate a political sense of longevity. Many years they would have served this country. And when Rowley tells us that who built the first roads and who, of course, established the first maybe sea bridge between Trinidad and Tobago and the air bridge, and of course the Point Lisas and the petrochemical or the carbon industry that we would have, as a consequence of being blessed, we were able to develop and beat his chest, attempting, of course, to gaslight the population. I want to tell you to be disabused, lest you will be abused by that kind of rhetoric, that kind of propaganda. You see, any government, any group of individuals that form the government, whether in 1956 to present time, their duty and responsibility has been singular to develop Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot tell me, as Rowley would like to tell us, purporting to be a student of history, that all these initiatives, all these initial developmental parameters, all these developmental variables were done with an understanding that the PNM as a political entity in office, in major part, must alone be the beneficiary of these development. Otherwise, the population of Trinidad and Tobago today, of course, 1.5. In yesteryears, it would have been less. But the fact of the matter is, the country would have been populated by persons of that ilk only. But we know that there was capildeo. We know that there were opposition parties over the evolution of our political and economic development over the years, inclusive of Tobago. We know. And therefore, Rowley cannot tell us that at one time that there was no oil refinery. And at one time there was no Petrotrin. And at one time there was no highway to Point 14 or any part of the country for that matter. And giving us this nostalgic paradigm paralysis to have us believe not only are we stupid, and not only that his utterances are retrogressive in content, in intent, and substance, cannot tell us to go backwards is going forward in 21st century Trinidad and Tobago. You have to be a backside of a unique quality to accept that nonsense in 21st century Trinidad and Tobago. In other words, as one of his ministers would have said, he will ride a bike to go to work, and he will cook on a coal pot, and of course roast a breadfruit. That is asinine. That is nincompoopish. That is not what a government over the years have been elected into government for, whether it be dominated by the PNM over a certain period and any other government No. That is an attempt to hoodwink us and to make us accept the mediocrity, accept, of course, retrogression, accept going backwards, accept what would have been 20, 40, 50 years ago, and which we have climbed out of, which we have progressed out of. And today we are talking about, of course, electricity and the electrification of all of the country. Rowley will tell us that at one time there was no electricity, and therefore you must now accept that his retrogressive policies and programs, where of course you would have none of it, and you could have none of it from different perspective, but more particularly, not that we are not producing electricity, but he will of course tax you into of course not being able to afford electricity. That's the point I am making. Understand what is happening here, and therefore as a people we need to be conscious of the fact. So this retrogressive, this nostalgic, this anachronistic disposition of the Rowley administration, I say to you, on that basis alone, they should be jettisoned out of office with a high degree of expeditiousness. We must be deliberate, we must be determined, and we must be conscious of the fact that they have failed, and failed devastatingly. So to tell us that at one time there was no petrotrin, as if that could ameliorate, it may be sufficient for them, because they're the ones who have created the condition for us to experience inordinate pain, agony, and trauma at this time in Trinidad and Tobago, and tell us that we must go back to flambeau, and tell us we must go back to pitch oil and pitch oil lamps, and to tell us we must go back to coal pot and bicycle. It's an insult. And I say so directing my vehement excoriations to the entire cabinet and its kitchen cabinet of the Rowley administration, because to me that is criminal, and the PNM has morphed into a criminal enterprise, and we must see it for what it is. Imagine you are unable in 21st century to attract, of course, foreign direct investment. You are unable to do that. Your duty is to expand because the population is expanding. It is increasing, and therefore your duty is to expand. But instead, he is emasculating this present government because they are short on ideas, they are short on creativity, they are short on a perspective, a vision for Trinidad and Tobago, even though, and while of course it is a next man's position or invention, 2030 vision, it's merely hogwash. It's merely platitudinous verbalization that has no basis in reality. It is merely a cliche that sounds good, that will give a good song bite, that will excite the optimists. And even in those circumstances, the optimist would soon turn to a pessimist, a doubting Tom, when of course the reality strikes, particularly over the last 9 years with this administration. So Rowley cannot come now and tell us that somehow we must be contented. That is what he's telling us. He is living it up. He is eating ham, lamb, and jam. He is getting the best that the country can offer in palatial conditions. Yes, living in a palace, isolated probably from the rest. Maybe the French Revolution and its genesis maybe can be referenced here, and the rest of us, the middle class, yes, the working class, are asked to grovel, are asked to accept deterioration of their circumstance, economic, social, cultural, interactional, and we can go on and on. Retrogression is retrogression. And Rowley believed that he could tell us that at one time there was no petrotrin. In other words, why must we worry? But he didn't complete the statement as his member for Port of Spain South, Scotland, so eloquently described it. He concluded it by saying he's going back to, of course, bicycle and coal pot. You don't want a more glaring conclusion, a more glaring corollary as to the statement initiated by Rowley when he said that we must what? We must accept his government's paradigm paralysis attitude by accepting that at one time there was no sea bridge, there was no air bridge, there was no petrotrin, there was no network of highways, and at the same time, ironically, claiming that the PNM would have been responsible for these, at least in the nascent stage, in the genesis stage, in the alpha stage. Whilst they are in, of course, as a political entity in the omega stage, but in the alpha stage, in the beginning, in the genesis, the PNM would have been responsible for these developmental, historical landmarks or developments. You cannot have your cake and eat it. Today I had the unique experience of interviewing or be part of an interview, of an interviewing panel that interviewed, of course, the former police commissioner who is now political leader of the NTA. I'm talking, yes, I'm talking about that individual. You know him. Somebody tell me. I want to see it on your comments before. Yes, somebody said it. Yes, Gary Griffith. Yes, so you're correct. Yes, and it was difficult for him when he was posed for the first time. I've seen him totally flummoxed, totally in a state of discombobulation, confusion, because the right questions, or maybe the right people, did not pose these questions to him. I want to say one of the questions I would have posed, of course, is the 2019 and the escalation beyond, of course, the 2008 figure of murders. But of course, we are going to, I'm sure, have an opportunity to treat with that, but I want to identify a more contemporary experience. You see, he went on to say that the situation in that by-election with Lingua, that's where the UNC lost by 300 votes in the by-elections, was due to the absence of the NTA and the role that it would have played, according to him, in the August 10th last year local government elections, when, of course, the UNC as a team with the NTA would have beaten the PNM for the popular votes, close to 48,000 persons, if not beyond. But the number is not important. What is important is that it was a significant differentiation or differential from the totality of the PNM in circumstances where the UNC had, of course, offered up less candidates than that of the PNM as an entity. But collectively, between the UNC and the NTA, I believe that all of the local government electoral districts would have been covered by candidates. But that is not the issue. The issue is that he claimed that the NTA's absence by that time, post, of course, the local government elections, would have accounted for the defeat of the UNC in that particular electoral district by any stretch of the imagination, a significant amount. But of course, he also argued to people that coming out of the local government elections and the fact that the election itself, the previous election, that the courts then triggered, of course, from which the court triggered this by-election, there was a dead heat, a dead tie, and therefore for the PNM to get 300 votes ahead of the UNC is a significant development. And he accounted that development for the absence of the NTA. But of course, he throwed hot water or cold water, depending on your perspective, on the argument that there was a special religious exercise practiced by many in that particular electoral district, and thus the defeat of the UNC there. But of course, a person like myself who would want to get to the bottom of this defeat, and I agree, there must be a concern that to move from a dead heat to 300 or so distance apart is cause for concern. But whether or not the rationality and the reasoning for that defeat is credible, and that is where I'm going. Because I asked him the question, to what extent the internal elections of the UNC in close proximity, 2 days or so, and the fallout, the recriminations, and some of the bad blood we have seen in that internal elections, to what extent did it contribute to the outcome and the defeat of the UNC in that particular electoral district? And I noticed that he was almost silent for the first time. He was very, what I consider to be, not dismissive, but certainly he was cursory. He brushed it over. Of course, referencing that because there was a dead heat just a few weeks before, and now a by-election comes, and there's a distance of 300 in favor of the PNM, that of course, that shows there's a need for the NTA. But I want to tell him, but I had to tell him, of course, well, if what you're saying is so, It so happens that there was a simultaneous by-election, one that was happening at the same time in the constituency, if you want to call it that, or for the that regional corporation that includes, of course, the political electoral district, if you want to call it that, of Separia. Yeah. The DBA, I believe, regional corporation. Yeah, there was another election, if you would recall. And I asked him the question because I had to, of course, uncharacteristically ask my colleagues, both Andy and Mikey, to give me an opportunity, of course, to complete this, because I wanted to make certain that it was clear, pellucid, and did not in any way be conceived as a position and or question that is confusing. So I told him, I said, but listen, are you of the position that the same factors occurred in that other by-election where the UNC won? Are you saying that because of the absence of the NTA, can you make that same argument there? And of course, I got him a bit stuttering, because he now has to rationalize and reconcile immediately on air the absence of the NTA, UNC lost, and the absence of the NTA in the other electoral district that was vying for the person to manage their affairs was won by the UNC. How do you reconcile that? Well, of course, I have not gotten a clear answer as yet. I am still awaiting. But then again, of course, I went on to ask, is it that he may be selling himself, or should I say overselling himself? Is it that he has arrogated unto himself too much political fodder or political currency or political oxygen? When he spoke of walking along the east-west corridor, and in Sandy Grande, he was, of course, with the people. And of course, my own colleague Pitbull could verify that he was up and down, and he was the only leader that was there with them. And as a consequence, the result came in favor of the UNC in the Sandy Grande Corporation, in favor of the UNC. Well, again, of course, I had to be systematic while at the same time generating the argument to reach the conclusion with respect to the victory of the UNC in the Sandy Grande Corporation for a second time. So obviously the question was, well, Mr. Griffith, the UNC started with a tie in Sandy Grande, then an absolute victory thereafter in the other elections, and then now in a fourth election in August last year, they won again. Can you now say that is because of your intervention, or is it as a result of incremental gravitation by that particular constituency, or the electoral, or the electorate, or the burgesses that make up those respective electoral districts were gravitating anyway to the UNC. And therefore, what you are claiming should be, of course, tempered. It should not be focused upon as if it is the centripetal force that created that victory, having regard to the history, the electoral history from Tatai to a victory complete and then another victory. Well, of course, he had some difficulty, but he still maintained, however, that his presence up and down the place, nobody is arguing that. But whether he could, of course, claim that because of his presence as NTA, that victory was assured, is still, of course, a matter for debate and for analysis. I thought it was important, of course, to raise that, because the question of what arrangement the UNC will make, not have to, but will make, they don't have to, for the upcoming national election, that has credence. It's against that background, of course, I'm opening up the lines now. I will not go to anyone to assist us outside of the callers and outside of the audience that is here with me tonight. I probably will begin or return to making calls impromptuly next week. But I want to hear from you. The numbers to call, of course, are 337-6940. 337-6940. Call us and let us know. For debate and for analysis. I think it was important, of course, to raise that. Yes, indeed. Because the question of what arrangement the UNC will make, not have to, but will make. So the lines are open, 337-6940. 337-6940. You can call me now. Of course, as I say, the target is 9 o'clock. We try to cut off at 9 o'clock. But it's very interesting. Indeed, is it that Gary has oversold himself? Is it that he has inserted himself in a way that he cannot redeem, having regard to all of the recriminations that would have passed? Notice I left out the recrimination part. I want you, I'm sure, in your own analysis to maybe touch on it. If not, of course, later I will so do. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox.
Pleasant good night to you as well. Yes.
Mr. Lennox,
yes.
And to all the listeners, and for them to share.
Yes.
And to share. We are very shareful and giving people.
Thank you very much for that reminder.
Lennox,
yes.
To all the listeners, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Just as I get to the call, you use a big word there, you understand what you're asking about. If you could touch on some big word you're talking as you answer the phone. But what I know, right? I will talk in my layman terms for you to understand.
Oh yes, no problem.
Because you're giving much a big word tonight.
All right.
And I'm vexed.
All right, I hear you. I hear you.
Now, Mr. Lennox, I want your listeners to say if it's true. You know, I was looking for a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
To be my partner, to say they call her wife.
Yes.
And you know, other. So now, till life not going along, I only had a old gym boots and sleeveless, more, you know.
Yes.
But it was one had a set of hole. Not the vented one, eh? You know, it has some original have a set of hole in it.
Yes, that's how it is constructed, yeah.
Yeah, but this one had, you can see old age hole and thing now. And I never could buy a good jersey or
artificial holes, yes. It was as a result of wear and tear. Wear and tear. Yeah, okay.
Right. So, and with the clothing now and all these other things, right?
Yes.
And the shoes and things. And when I go by the young lady and I tell she good evening, she used to watch me cut eye. So, 2 times I do it, and I see she walk away the second time. So, our old man pass and tell me, he says, son, come. You know, you like that girl? I say, yeah, uncle. He said, and here what going on. You see them thing you had there? Because sew it up. But if your brother or any neighbor don't have any good jersey to throw it out, see if you can get a better jersey now, boy. And see if you can get better pants. And borrow our shoes, better shoes now. And try to look good for the girl. So I say, okay, I'll try it. You know, Mr. LENNOX, when I go on now the next time, the young girl watch when she smile because she watch when she see I look a little presentable.
She see an improvement.
No, you know?
She see an improvement. All right, okay, I hear you. Yes.
So she started to talk and thing, and then I get to like she. And she get to like, in fact, I didn't like she all the time, but she don't get to like what I think, right?
Right.
No, you know why I just said it, right?
Yes.
With Captain Gary Griffith, he tried to be something and tried to wear a position that is not real. When you present yourself as a real person and in your tones and chair garments, that is you with your reality. But when you try to dress up and try to attract people, this is what he gets himself into. And I'm very sorry for the gentleman, right? And I sympathize with him and his private life. But I think he going about this in trying to be something he's not. Because you get the opportunity, you come and sit down with the political leader, then you leave like David Abdullah and say you know everything about the political leader. What tablet she take it, when she made it, and all the things she's doing, when she is going to the market and how much tomatoes choker she does do. And you try to sell that to the people so that the people will gravitate to you. The history in the ABC shows that all how it come, and the reference, and I write in this exam now, and I'll give him a reference. Reference to Mr. Ramesh Lawrence Maraj. He was so big up in the United National Congress under Mr. Basil Pandey. And three of them decide to form a party. He became the leader at Team Unity. Hot and sweaty and bread, butter for everybody. People gravitate and then they disintegrate. The track record show the COP under the Quran. Because he didn't have a way. He formed a party and they disintegrate. What more again people in this country supposed to be watching? Why is they going down that road and let's say what? They try to portray Mr. LENNOX because Mr. LENNOX every night and Andy and Mikey Kerr will be talking, hey, the PNM is good. And they want to say, no, we undecided. Where is the evidence? Look at it now. So he's dressing in a way that he's not really presenting the reality of himself. Where we're supposed to be talking policies and the way forward, you talking that you have information, why did you bring it forward about the PNM? You was the commissioner. This is things, people are suffering. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to blackmail people, vote for me and then I'll tell them what went on. So Mr. LENNOX, tomorrow I might go buy rattan and see if I can buy a new shirt and a pants and a jersey and a slippers. Good night.
I get the impression that that's a real story. Since you want to go buy rattans, I want to tell you, test all of the, when I say the offerings of rattans, because one time, feeling sharp, I say, well, I saw a nice pair of shoe there, and I put it on one time, and by the time I walk a kilometer to my destination, both soles were out, and I was a lost soul as a consequence. So, so be careful. That's
no. I know that was
right,
what
good.
I just do.
Yeah.
The last time I went there, I went to church first.
All right.
And when as soon as I step out this store,
Right.
a sister at the church say, brother, you take the service so serious? I say, how you mean, sister? She said, look, I see you right there, you sold to Jesus already. So,
so you had a soulless experience as well.
that's right. So I went there, my soul. So, that was a good night, Sister
Same to you. And I want to say, people, of course, that this is a serious matter, but I had an experience, and I want to tell the caller, of course, go to the top of the class. I think it was a beautiful analogy and all of the exemplifications that he intertwined and brought forth in his argument. I think it was tremendous. If I am guilty of saying words, uttering words, I'll try my best. I normally try my best to give the meaning of them one time. Like if I say ubiquitous, I say every and anywhere, like Jesus Christ, of course, being omnipresent any and everywhere. So ubiquitous, omnipresent, so being everywhere at the same time. But that being as it may, I think he has brought a very important. But before that, let me tell you my own experience. I mean, my father had trucks, and we would normally, as young men, be on the trucks, and sometimes we coming down past the street. Yes, Laventil, when we would be at the back of the truck, and of course we had some pants without any jockey shorts on, but it has some big holes. That's how we used to wear our pants. No jockey, so you're seeing raw skin in the rear. So one day I just came from school. I was teaching Piccadilly government at the time, and I just came up the road, and I was walking up past the street with looking decent, of course. As a teacher, you would or you expect a teacher to be, and here it is. There was shushuing taking place among 3 or 4 women, and they were saying, and they were shushuing. Of course, it's sufficiently loud for me to hear because probably they were so amazed. They said, "But wait now, he's a teacher. He's a teacher." Just the other day, I used to see him on the father truck with all the bottom exposed and them clothes that he was wearing. So I want to tell you that, but of course, because I knew that they would gravitate. So of course I avoided, because it cannot be that you like me because now I'm a teacher, and when I had my bust up pants and so on, you were scorning me, so to speak. So in my own little way, I avoided that kind of attraction or element to be attracted to. Let me put it that way. All right, okay. So let's go to the lines. So that is one. Before, of course, I do some extrapolation of the callers' general comments. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you, sir. Good night, yes.
I listened to your I listened to the ground report this morning.
Good.
Man, this back and forth you're going on with, man. I mean, we have to win an election. We have to get Rowdy out.
Yes.
And it's like, what's going on? It's a back and forth, this and that, this. They're just laughing at us, man.
Who is they? Who is they laughing? Who is laughing? Who is they?
The PNM.
The PNM, all right, okay. All right, go ahead.
You listen to me. I am 72 years of age. I retired 5 years ago.
Okay.
I fight for this country in 1970. Do the impossible. We lay a ground for this generation.
Yeah.
From Carnage to Toko. That is East-West Corridor. That's PNM. And it's like, you have this guy come on this morning, there, Gary Griffith, and it's like, it's a fight. And all they keep asking, if all they think Kamala will win alone and if this and that. She can't win alone. She can't. She cannot win alone.
Mm-hmm.
Is it impossible? She can't win alone.
All right.
People have to get together. These parties, this party, that party, that. They can't win alone. They could never, ever, ever win alone. It's impossible. You ever hear about a movie they call Mission Impossible? The guys were they're pushing right now. She cannot win alone. Sometimes, I don't listen to it partly every other morning because I can't take the BS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you just make a lot of sense. They have you on the program as an analysis. You break it down for them, they don't know what's going on or whatever the case might be. You understand? But Kamala cannot win alone. And it's like, it's like people just, it have the sycophants on them. No matter what you say or what, they will come and interrupt the program. That is what they get paid for. And all that to understand that. They get paid for that. Kamala cannot win it alone. PNM have, look, they have so much strategy. You should know that, you older than me. They have a lot of strategy. When time for election, they call it, they just pass out jerseys, give out money, have party, this, that, and the other. Because Trinidad is a carnival people. The only time that people come out is carnival, stink and dirty, and holidays. When coming to getting the place right, they ain't coming out. The one who coming out want to make a change. Sometimes, I don't know, I don't regret I ever come out in 1970 to put myself out there, to come and look at this shit that's going on in Trinidad right now. You know how much people right now up here want to come back home and can't come back home just through this bullshit that's going on in Trinidad? People that be calling every day, I want to come home, I want to do this, people want to invest. They can't even freaking invest. Can you imagine the minister of freaking hell get robbed with a freaking old piece of shit on the hand? They can't solve crime. Boom. Less than 24 hours, they find the two people who had robbed him. The biggest crime in Trinidad and gang right now in Trinidad is the government. The government is the biggest crime. Them control everything. You rob any of them, they come next 2-3 hours, they find you. They have a saying, many are called, but few are chosen. Rowdy, easy man, Rowdy was in Jack, I hear and see Rowdy make a speech in around Reza right here,
Of course, he will claim that he is not. Conveniently. He wants to be more PNM than everybody else. Yes.
He could tell people who he know him. Rowdy it is, But you see people in Trinidad, they don't listen. Manning was there, Manning warned them. They say, this man, leave him alone, this man ain't good. He's a bully, he's a raging bull. And don't think he's going on like that, Don't think he's going on like that. Because once he's PM, you have the army, you have the police behind you. But I'm telling you, I'm giving you advice. Do not let the people, the voice of the people, go out there and protest. Just play the game, talk what other talk, don't go out there and protest. But that is all they were waiting for. Fight Rowdy by the vote. Stick your finger, get the ink, and that's it. And this one day, where they call him, Gary Griffith, they're only trying to upset the whole place, Kamala cannot do it on her own. Good night.
Good night to you, my friend. Well, I take copious note. Very, very, very sincere, clearly, and your advice, I think, is sincere. Don't think it is solid, because I would have liked to know on what basis you would have concluded that at this time the UNC cannot do it alone, and to what extent that Rowley can believe that he can remain in office. And let me say it up front one time: if Rowley loses when Rowley loses the election, and he tries to do like Maduro and stay in office unmeritoriously, he will be assassinated. He will be assassinated. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Not by me, but of course there are some who yeah, thanks. Somebody just watching by. That's why I was getting calls from others. Yes. I'm on air now. Somebody just walked in, bring my handset that I inadvertently, meaning that by mistake I left in an earlier meeting to come here. So thank you very much, ma'am, for your assistance. You will make certain that some people. That's why some people probably was calling and I didn't get them, because they normally would use the answer. All right. So the last caller did in fact sound tremendous warning. But let me say up front that if Rowley once again attempt to do what Maduro has done in Venezuela, he will be assassinated. There is no doubt. There are elements in the society who would want, of course, to generate in their own way the balance that is required, the justice that is required, social and otherwise, and therefore will take things into their own hands. I have no doubt in my mind about that. At any rate, the conditions are not salubrious, are not perfect. I shouldn't say perfect. Salubrious mean that the conditions are not good. In the context of the democracy that we have and the relationship we have with not just the rest of the Caribbean and CARICOM, but with our most powerful neighbor, arguably the most powerful country in the world. I'm talking about the United States. Rowley cannot. He will try, of course, to steal the elections by trying to manipulate observers and the intention, not manipulate the observers, but the intention so to do. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night.
Hello, good night. Good night to you, LENNOX. California here.
Yes, sir. How are you? How are you tonight?
Nice to bad, man. I was saying,
yes.
I would just listen to the last caller there. The man gave me some good advice there, you know.
Yes. All right, go ahead.
You know, one of the things, we can't get too complacent, and we cannot take the PNM for granted.
Yeah.
Which the man point out, that is true. And as he say, Kamala can't do it on she own. There's a lot of factors involved. And she need all the support and strength that she can get. And I was saying, talking about Gary this morning, Gary just kicked the ball out of the ground, but he just kicked the ball outside, way outside the park. You understand?
Yeah.
I was expecting Gary as a former commissioner to be more smart and reasonable and come more cool and thing, but he's I think, you understand?
Yeah.
He had to come off of that high horse he on where he had to come down. The country
but what do you think? I was yearning to ask somebody that, and I think you are an intelligent man. He said that his attitude is one that is similar to that of Rowley, that of Kamala, in that if he is attacked, he is duty bound to defend. That's one. But is it that he is underestimating his relationship or his compatibility with Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Rowley? Because clearly Kamala Persad-Bissessar can afford it, let's put it that way, because she has a constituent behind her of over 300,000 members. So to Rowley, even though to a lesser extent, and of course a decreasing in number, but certainly. But he has not been able to produce anything at all, but believe that he equates both of them. Not that I am condoning that one should be obnoxious or should I say mercilessly attack your enemy, but does he have the wherewithal and the moral and ethical basis and practical basis for talking as though he is a Rowley or he is a Kamala Prasad Bissessa? That is what I really want to get at.
Nah, Gary Griffith is Gary Griffith. And Gary Griffith has his own personality. And he's a little too much consuming ego. That's the trouble with Gary.
Okay.
Right? But if Gary can overcome them things, he's like a wedge right now. He's a wedge. He's a wedge to the PNM and he's a wedge to the UNC.
Right.
He ever come out of that because Rowley fired him and we don't know what reason why Rowley fired him and don't want him back. And he had evidence and more water to throw on Rowley and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
He had the opportunity to work with Kamala and to use the UNC in the sense that he could get to Rowley and bring up the UNC. He didn't do that. He looked for his own gain. And because everything is about he do this and he do that and he walk here and he walk there and without he this and that. No. Gary was the how do you call it? The top cop, right?
Yeah, the commissioner of police, yes.
Gary was the commissioner of police. The time Gary saw, he saw me purpose and he saw me time. Time change. Thing change. Condition change. People change. This is a different reality now. Gary has to understand that. And the reality now calls for a change in personality, a change in behavior. Because people now is on a different level. Some people can handle what's going on and some people just can't handle it and some people don't want to know. And you're dealing with a whole different society of people with all different mentality. You understand? And that is what we got to understand. And they had to get these people to come together to unite, to show them we have one common enemy, and that's the PNM.
Yeah.
In the sense that the PNM is the enemy, not the people who voted for them so much, but it's the government, the one who is in charge. Right? Them messing up everything. Even their own messing up. That's the thing. We have to cross that bridge, LENNOX.
Yes.
When we cross that bridge and we go on the other side, then we can make all the changes and fix all the problems. But we need first to get over that bridge. We need to get the PNM out. The man from who was talking today just was talking about some sense. Because he had the common sense about. You see, it's the common sense of people looking high up on the mountain. It's right down in the bottom, right there, everything like this. Forget about Gary. Gary just talked about this morning. We have to try to get Gary to come to understand that he's not an enemy. You understand? Everybody still cares about him and everybody still wanted to come together, but he wanted to work with the UNC. Kamala, right? She's the person the people elect. You have to work with she. You can't go against she. If they choose a dog to be the leader, that is what you have to follow. That is the people, what they want. You have to follow the people. You understand? It's like to talk too long about it. You understand?
I hear
you.
Yes, I hear you. Thank you very much, of course, for your contribution. And my assessment of his presentation this morning has to do a lot with the fact that he wants to be part of that inevitable victory of the opposition. Notice I say inevitable, meaning that it will happen. I happen to be one that is of the view, and I, of course, as per usual, I will give an explanation as to why I am of that view, that the UNC will win the election with or without a partner or partners. That's the first time. But I want to also say that I got the impression that Gary Griffith also recognized that. And therefore, when we ask the question, what are the parameters, what are the factors, what are the engagement that will facilitate a reconciliation. He then said, of course, respect and another term he used, respect and another term. I can't recall the other term, but I'm sure somebody will remind me. Let's go to the lines. I will continue my assessment as what transpired this morning and my own conclusion as far as Gary Griffith is concerned. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, good night, LENNOX.
Good night to you as well.
Yeah, you're on the road already. You know I have to call you.
Yes, I know that you are on the beat. You are on the road. Yes.
I'll be on the road again, man.
Yes.
Up in New York, we go to Nebraska.
Yes.
I listened to the whole program this morning.
Right.
I mean, I do a lot of thinking. You know what I mean? And I did call back, leave a message on.
Okay.
He played over.
Yes. And thank you for the videos.
Yes.
Thank you for the videos as well. Thank you. I did some work on it and I'm playing it tonight. Yeah, playing them tonight.
No problem.
Yes, go ahead. Yes. Mm-hmm.
John Griffith have to come to his senses, man. And he has to work with the UNC. And what happened afterwards is that he could do a thing, whatever he wants to do, but you have to get that man up and up. Because if you don't, that country is going to the dog. You know what I mean? So a lot of people what the gentleman was talking all a while ago, I don't wait for so everybody wants to come over there, which I know a lot of people, they don't say anything, but I heard, I thought. Larry Griffith know what's going on with the PNM, he know everything about what's going on. He should have put his ego aside and work with Kamala, whatever. I don't know what's going on there, but I can't say what them have, what's going on there. But we should come together with us and have to one because of one goal, Because a house can't stand up in two legs, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Kamala would not do it, she will do it. But knowing Raleigh with his, corrupt self, what he do with the ABC, or like what he did last time. You never know what this man has up his sleeve. So you have to be prepared. So, Gary should, Gary and whoever, I know Philip Alexander, trying to, put himself out there.
Yes.
So I watch him all the time, yeah. And he's trying. I really sincere he will do something, Because and they get together and get this thing done, Then they will think after the country going down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because let me tell you something again, Mr. Lennox.
Yeah.
United States, I don't know if you heard it, United States give Maduro, I think 5 or 6 months.
Yes, ultimatum, yes, to do
what
is
will
right.
happen, right?
Yes.
I know them. Remember Saddam Hussein?
Yeah. And the consequential invasion, as well as, of course, Grenada. Yes, and Austin, and they felt the wrath of the invading might of the United States.
Right. Remember Saddam Hussein? I don't want to talk. Remember Saddam Hussein? We have special forces, special people, not anybody. Just go in there and they'll take you out. Very quick. And in and out.
Yeah.
Like an invader.
Yeah.
So, I know them.
Yes.
So something gonna really, really, really bad gonna happen.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling. Yeah. Now, so when this happen, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember, you know why Raleigh is getting railing up like that? He thinks he have Iran, Putin, China behind him, you know.
Yeah. Well, obviously, he's playing the forces against each other.
Right,
And yeah, that's
Right?
right. Yeah.
But little does that know. Let me tell you something. When United States come down there for whatever do, they will come down and shut. They will not be able to do anything because they will leave Raleigh in the rain. I'm telling you what will happen. You know, he thinks so. They're gonna help him, but it wouldn't help him. I know that, LENNOX. It would not help him. You know, he thinks so. He have a Maduro, all of them go. No. Maduro no match in the United States. Forget it. You know? So, that's what I'm saying. And they should come together and solve that problem because it have big consequences. I know what is going to happen. I know what you're saying. LENNOX, that if
Yes.
Raleigh lose the election, that's what is going to happen. What you're saying?
Yeah, I said he will be assassinated if he try to perform or to emulate Maduro. That's for sure. So he has to come differently, and I think all his as the closer he gets and subjected to the running out of time, is not only more mistakes and desperate he will become as a consequence, but the opportunity will be increasingly not just reduced, but maybe may no longer exist for him, but to accept his fate. And after that, of course, blue lights and silver bracelet, as the case may be.
Yeah, but you know why they say 5 months? They wait until the election finishes.
Yeah.
We have an election November.
Yeah, November.
Yes,
Yeah, he has up to November. That's the point.
But that's why
but the longer he takes, going closer to November, is more desperate he'll become, and more revelations will take place about him and his administration, and he will be left to the wolves, so to speak. The wolves here referring to the very, what I consider to be canine-like viciousness of the people to get him out of office. All right, my friend. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, people. So I was making a point before that Gary Griffith seemed to have accepted the reality that he is not a significant player, but will want to be intrinsically involved in the process. And I got that assessment, or I got that notion because there are several other variables and nuances that we have to look at. He doesn't want it to be outside in the rain, for example. Having accepted that the UNC will win the elections, whether there is, of course, a coalition, an arrangement, an accommodation or not, that is clear, and I will explain that later down the road. But the fact that he would be out in the cold will prevent him from being part and parcel of taking his revenge on Rowley. You see, there could be no sweeter revenge if I'm him, and I'm being vicarious here. I'm putting myself in his position as if I am him, vicarious, and of course saying to myself, I want to be there. I want to be able, of course, to watch Rowley in his face and his ministers who were the abusers when they had their offices. I want to take sweet revenge, and I must be part and parcel of that cadre of individuals to make decisions in relation to Rowley and his minions. So from that perspective alone, that, which is a big one in my view, I think he will not want to be out in the rain. The other thing I observed is that while he is making all these moves, opening office and so on, I noticed that he said that it was some UNC twatty, big twatty, that said that he should pursue that course of action that he's taking. I come in there, don't bother with the interruptions. You will not lose anything from my analysis. Pleasant good night, welcome.
Hello?
Pleasant good night.
Yeah, I'm calling from San Fernando.
Calling from San Fernando. Go ahead, San Fernando.
Yeah, what I want to say is this. We're trying for the longest while to get all the parties to unite.
Yes.
Cool, but I'm saying if all the parties can't come together because people can't put the house in order. I mean, because remember what Kamala has been saying for the longest while.
Yes.
Bring something to the table. If you can't bring something to the table, then, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So, what I'm seeing now, the picture is emerging now where the UNC have to play, Kamala herself has to play, the variables are changing.
Uh-huh.
And she has to play the variables in a way where she could win the next election. And I think she is doing that. Because remember, the UNC came out of the of a labor struggle, right? If you follow it, and that was very strong in the days of the ULF. Then come down, and 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 they built on that, right?
Yes.
But remember, there was also a party called the ONR, and the ONR was very strong.
Yes.
Right. But seeing that, you could merge the two. And the variables could happen right now because it's changing in Trinidad, right? Because this PNM government is doing too much, is way too much rubbish for people to swallow. We can't swallow it no more.
Yeah.
You understand? Because if you look at the past few nights I've been calling and we've been talking about the education system. It is in a shambles.
Yes.
You closed down Petroton, so many jobs were lost, right? Thousands of jobs. The PNM are doing anything really for the young people.
Right.
So I think that if the UNC now plays the variables correct and build on what they already have.
Yes.
Then the election is in the bag for the UNC. Yes. So Gary Griffith, I don't think he could make it because he, in my book, I don't see him really brought anything to the table except talk.
Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, but the next thing is what I want to say is when you look at that present thing with the Elsing and even he's the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you look at he recently, I think he was playing the clip the other night where he was saying COVID was like World War I, World War II, and then they have 9/11 put together.
Yeah.
But 5,000 people lost their lives, right? 5,000 people or more lost their lives. And Kamala was right the other night.
Oh, right? Yes, because absolutely. I made it very clear. Yeah.
Because when you look at it, right, what she said was, when you really look at it, this man get. I mean, if the Elsing is saying COVID was like World War I, II, and 9/11 put together, Rowley take the vaccine, right? And when he take the vaccine, he get COVID 6 times, and he ain't dead yet.
So the vaccine fake, that's all?
Yeah, the vaccine fake.
That's the conclusion one has to draw. Yeah.
So Kamala do nothing again. I mean, she playing the variables right.
Yes.
So that's all she has to do is just play it right.
Yes,
and if she plays it right, the election is in the bag for the UNC. And she not only doing it in terms of the health situation. You're seeing it where education is another important aspect of the UNC, because look at the 107 schools that you put on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then this Minister of Education here, and put on one, and she can't even open one.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, what more you want? People ain't go open their eyes from that?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
What more you want?
Beautiful, man.
People can't open their eyes from that. So, you know, I think the UNC is doing good. And, you know, we just have to keep that
momentum going.
That momentum,
To the apex, to the summit, when of course victory will be assured. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I almost had to say go to the top of the class, Caller, because while I assess the situation similar to you but the variables, I have put in more variables into the equation to make the conclusion to draw the conclusion that whether with a partner or partners, the UNC will win the next elections. There is no doubt about it. And of course, those who are of a different view, I would love you, of course, to put in the variables. It cannot just be said that the PNM is a wily bunch and that they have, of course, pernicious, what I consider to be election thieving strategies that we have not yet seen. And that is nestling in what I consider to be ad hominem talk. That is belief. That does not offer anything, does not bring anything to the table, because that too would have been factored by the UNC and persons like myself to see that even that will fail. So even if they're trying to thief, in other words, that will fail. There is a specific amount of opportunities they can have to steal. But we will go to the lines, and then of course when I return, I will of course give my continued analysis. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night.
Good night to you.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend.
I didn't know what's right now.
All right.
No, I was listening to you this morning,
Yes.
I asked myself, but why are you going to Gary so hard this morning? You and Andy and Mikey?
Yeah.
It's only when I hear Andy mention Jolene John name.
Yes.
The mind flashback. Jolene John, I know who started or where started. So long as in a meeting day, that Gary had nothing to offer, but he could bring to the table. She never win no seat, and she inside the day. And I find Kamala listening to she, and come back talking Gary after too. Imagine Kamala go say, he wasn't even a good police commissioner. No, you know that shit, all of we know that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kamala talk that I say, well, Kamala going mad or something. The point is, I want to compliment Gary.
No, I want you to say, before you go further, keep your last word, compliment Gary. Kamala Prasad Bisesa was talking in the context, let's get it clear. Why, when the notion came out that he may not have been a good commissioner, was because he was the fourth in the merit list. Understand that. That is the context in which you are speaking. And therefore, if you look at it in that context, then then it is clear. Of course, his performance is a different story. I don't think she was focusing on his performance. But really attacking the Prime Minister for, of course, going down the list and bringing in Gary Griffith for reasons not based on merit. Because of course he had to come and say the Prime Minister end up saying that he's the worst pick that he ever picked. But let's go ahead. Yes.
But Gary proved otherwise to everybody else.
Yes. Well, that's the point. But I wanted to make it clear that Kamala wasn't attacking his performance, but Rowley's, should I say, delayed choice.
No, but all right, let me finish up what's here.
Yes, go ahead.
You know what charge I have on this phone?
Yes.
No. When I hear Andy mention Jolene John name, I find Kamala following everything what Jolene John say.
Right.
She repeated after Jolene John. And I can't handle that. Because this same Julie John, you would know you was with Pandey. When Pandey get in the first set of trouble stuff housing thing. She back up on the Pandey. Everybody say, oh, she didn't say not on Pandey behalf. I know Pandey is a man do quarrel. She make Pandey look like he was a crook. And she say me how come now she high up on a pedestal now. She had Jack Warner. And look what he do, he come on, he go report and say he used to go and tell Rowley everything. But going on, me and say she doing that, eh?
Yeah.
But Kamala can't afford to do that. You can't, who run any party? No, Jolene John or Kamala? She repeated after Jolene John. That's the point I want to make, Lennox. And I find Gary did a good job this morning defending himself against you, my dear Andy.
Yeah. I think he had a little flaws in his defense, but we were able to penetrate. But he responded by let's say being cursorily, smoothing over it without any significant bump in the road, so to speak.
Yeah. He defended himself well, and I do ask him already. So that's calling me and say, I say, well, I don't know. But when I hear Julie John name, she never win no seat. What she have to offer the UNC?
Yeah, but the argument is as Gary acknowledged that she is the deputy political leader, whether we like it or not, and therefore, as Gary said, he had a duty to defend himself and his party as well.
And I agree with that.
Right, but listen to what the irony is. If you know that, and you know that the PNM will use these recriminations, these antagonistic statements as part of the propaganda machinery, because he said it this morning, then I would have thought that he would have toned down and not, of course, escalating it to the point where there may be a point of no return. That's my criticism of him. If he's that conscious, yes.
It's hard for a man like Gary Griffith to back down, yeah?
Well, this is what I'm saying, and therefore does that make a good partner in such a situation? Does it make for a good partner? You see, so that is some of the consideration the UNC is faced with.
Listen to me, Lennox.
Yeah.
Gary, hold off all your real well this morning, and he keep repeating. He and Kamala always had a good relationship. So I want to know if Jolene John, why Jolene John trying to mash up that relationship? She had not told her either.
Well, he gave the same impression that he wondering why, Jolene John would have been the intermediary or the ground zero for Kamala's response to him, and of course he felt obligated to respond. But as simply saying, if you are conscious and you know, if it's me, for example, I'm not responding, I will respond, yes, but not publicly. I will respond by way of more private interactions.
Conversation with the Prime Minister.
Yeah. That is why I consistently asked him this morning, and of course he has not given an adequate response as to what are the building blocks. If you believe that there is an imperative for an arrangement with the UNC, how do you bridge that animosity gap?
I remember when you asked that.
I asked, and he wasn't able to answer because he doesn't know, because the thing has reached such a level that of course it will be difficult.
He couldn't think about that time.
Yeah, and he couldn't think about the lingua and the other side, the other election as well. Yes.
Watch me. All you really damn man this morning.
Yeah. We hit him. We had to.
I find he do well, and he hardly said.
Oh yeah. He responded as a, but there was a point when one could conclude that he was a bit dishonest. In spite of his projection that he's an honest intermediary or honest opponent or honest player, but he came across a bit along that line because he realized that he was taking.
Under all that pressure, let me just say you almost quarreling.
All right, I hear you.
Under all that
but
pressure.
you do
But
the
let me
best
say
you're
this.
going to do. It's the best you do. You can't get away from that.
Yeah, but let me say this, Lennox.
Yeah, go ahead.
Julie and John, I think I tell you this already.
Uh-huh.
When she was married with Mazio Pandey was the same thing.
Yeah.
He put she on top, just a little Kamla, she. I think Pandey run into trouble with some housing project. She withdraw, like she had all the two go like where she was. She didn't put up a little defense for Pandey. You remember that?
Yeah. Well, I want to say, Gary mentioned it. I suppose that is the starting point that I would have liked, that the history has shown, the antecedent has shown that people fall out and fall back in. And there is no difference. My only concern, as I said, is what are the building blocks to ensuring that there's a falling back in. Yeah, because you had it with Ramesh Maharaj, he went and formed his own party, and eventually, of course, Pandey embraced him ultimately thereafter. And we have had even Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Pandey, and so that's how the cookie crumbles. How you mend and how you maintain is where the challenge really is, where there is need for constant weaving and constant adapting and adjusting.
But here's my question to you now.
Yeah.
Why Jolene John trying to keep Gary out of the party? That's my impression, you know.
All right.
And I'm not listening to everything what Jolene John say. That's my impression whenever Jolene John talk.
Can you really say that when in fact they had an arrangement for the local government elections? Come on. Can you really say that?
Yes, and in the arrangement, the man help out.
This is what I'm saying. So therefore, no, you asked the question why Julian John is attempting to keep him out. And I'm saying that there was an arrangement where, of course, Julian John, if she wanted to keep him out, had an opportunity there to do in real terms, but that didn't happen.
No, but watch me, he work hard, he talk that this morning, he work already,
right. So I'm saying why it is that you could conclude that Julian John trying to keep him out. I mean, that is something that we have to examine a little deeper.
Yeah, you have to examine that.
Yeah. All right.
Something wrong, Lennox, because watch me. Gary...
But he is of that view. He was of that view, yeah.
Watch, Gary could never be a liability to the UNC. We must keep that in mind. The most he could be is an asset. Can't be a liability, too intelligent for that.
Yeah, but people are thinking beyond the victory.
Beyond the victory?
Yeah, beyond the victory. What do you think? Would he be a maverick? Would he be at variance if the opportunity comes? Would he be steadfast and
well,
should I say stubborn-headed?
Why they should be thinking so, Lennox?
Well, why not? Why? Because the history is that. Come on, you must know that. The history is that. Whether it be Dukaran, whether it be Robinson and
Dukaran and them was well set up to stop Pandey.
Yeah. So you see,
yeah. ONR, them try to stop Pandey.
Yeah.
Right?
This is what I'm saying, so that you fall out and you fall in. The extent to which you can afford to fall in and suffer the potential consequence if it should happen, hopefully is not of a falling out, wise within, that results, as history would have shown, in the collapse of every single administration that would have come into existence as a consequence of those kinds of accommodation and arrangements.
Well, Lennox, let me be serious.
Go ahead.
Gary Griffith could only be an asset to Kamla. Can't be a liability.
Right. At this point, for getting into government.
And you think he could do otherwise once he gets in?
All right, so you're saying that he will continue to be an asset?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, no, that's a point of view. I have no difficulty with that.
Right,
okay, then, yes. Yes, indeed, of course. Quite a number of callers are coming in. A pleasant good night, welcome. We have gone, no, we have 10 more minutes before 10 o'clock. We say we'll finish at 9, but that is how the cookie crumbles at times. A pleasant good night.
Yeah, yes, I called back again because I already listening and I want to iron out this thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want people to get it clear.
Yes.
Why Gary have the faults Kamala has some faults.
Yes.
But we're not looking at faults. If we look at faults, we will continue going through the process and finding faults. The reason why I say Gary is a wedge. Gary, remember the experience Gary said he was in the army, he went to school, he studied like Rambo and whatnot. The reason why I say Gary is a wedge, Gary will be very sensitive to certain. When you're talking and you're releasing information, Gary will be very sensitive to them things. He will know how to play the game. In other words, he will know how to play the game. And he's not a man to stay quiet, he will talk out. You understand? Mm-hmm. And he will bust fire. That's Gary. That's why Rowley didn't like the man. Right? You can't get to the man for what he is. You understand? You have to respect the man. The same way, Kamala will say things. Right? She is a political leader. You have to understand she has a certain amount of leeway. She has a certain amount of privilege as a leader. And you can't override that because she's still the leader of the UNC and the people put she there. And you have to work with she. Right? You're deputy leader, you still have to respect she. Yes, you understand what she's saying and what's not. Right? Now, 3 head, we just put it now. 3 head, 3. Right? If they don't work this thing out, right? And forget about all this personality and words and differences and things. We could go somewhere. We could get the PNM out. That is the whole objective of this whole election coming up. So after we remove the PNM, look at the long debate and say, all I want to share the power, who should be where and whatnot, and respect the leader until the leader change and whatnot. That's the way it has to go. You cannot oppose the leader, and the leader cannot oppose the members who she's working with, and then she has to be more sensitive. I don't want to really go down too much in these type of detail, but them is big people. And you trusted them with your affairs, and you hope that they will iron it out. And you don't want to have the same problem that we have it right now with this government. We want to have it with them. They have to work, fix that from now. So when you see the time come, we have a sharp, intelligent, ready to move government, ready to take on any challenge. That is what we want. You have to show the people and build the confidence in people. Hey, all of us trust you and see. Trust me, we're going to. Yes, people going to vote for it. That's what you need to do. Right? Forget about the differences. They're going to have differences, different personality, different problems. It's going to come up time after time, but you have to work it out. Human being, you have to work it out. Legislation, sit down on the table. Pound it, beat it, do whatever you do, but don't let it come out in the open. Don't let the public know what's going on internally. You have to fix that inside. Right? Show a nice face and all come outside. Let people see all the bright and minded, but we don't know what's going on inside. You understand what I mean, LENNOX? You got right for that?
Yeah,
work it out.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you very, very, conscientiously. I take note.
Listen.
I take note. You finish?
And Andy and Mikey, all they're helping to build the UNC, all they're helping to make the change, all they don't know, all they respond. How will that responsibility, all they have, how it working? But it's working, LENNOX.
Yes, well, we are conscious of that.
I see, all they have a real great responsibility and all they handle it well. You understand? And then people talk, they listen and all they give them the encouragement and show them, hey, this is the only vehicle, this is where we go. I admire that about you earlier. You understand?
Thank you very much.
We have all that group in this country, this work like how the three other workers. Yeah. And the UNC will be very happy. In fact, it's supposed to be happy for the ground report, for you, Andy and Mikey. I tell you as it is, I don't want nothing,
Yes.
I don't want nothing by LENNOX. I want to see this country come up from where it is and move forward. I might get anytime. But I don't want to see this country because I have 2 children and I have a wife and I
think that is unanimous. That is everybody is of the same view. No doubt. They want to see a better trade and Tobago. Yeah.
Under the UNC, my 2 children went down to do gate. Right? One is a lawyer, one was a lecturer in UE. Right? No children can get the opportunity. Right? Under the UNC, you were getting jobs and things. I could tell you, but I don't want to go down that road. People know what went on. And
Yes.
look at the state we're in today. We have to fix that. We have to fix that. And let me tell you, people, PNM people are always with PNM people, but we need them to make that change.
All right.
We can't beat them. Right? We can't run them, we can't criticize them, because if we want them to make a change, we can't criticize them. We have to say, a spade is a spade, and a fork is a fork, and this is what it is, and this is what it is, right?
Yes.
And you can stand say, I like how you listen to me tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making your contribution. I think they are sincere. Some of what you've said clearly is easier said than done. We will wish for them to come together, but we have to accept the fact that if that does not happen, what is the alternative? And of course, I am presenting the alternative here. I'm saying that the UNC will win the next elections with or without the assistance of, or the support, or the association with any other political entity. And of course, what is left for me to do in the few minutes that I have left is to say why. I may not get the opportunity on the ground reporters, but I know I can be as elastic as possible on the corridor transformation. So let me begin immediately. I said earlier that it is in the interest of Gary Griffith, of course, to wanted to be part and parcel, simply because he would have accepted, one, that his party will not be able to form a government in this country, especially as far as the next election is concerned. Let us not waste time with that. The other variable, as I said earlier, with respect to why it is in his interest, he would want, of course, to rub his thumb in Rowley's big nose. So let's not waste time, right? To the extent to which he believes that he is the, should I say, the gilpin, the axis for that, I think it is delusionary, for want of a better term. Delusionary. You cannot be more than what you think you are in this circumstance. The UNC has demonstrated over the years that it is the alternative when a government is in office, and the government. So too the PNM up to this point in time in our history. So let us not waste that. And we have sufficient water under the bridge to see many who claim status, or put another way and to be more specific, that illusionary venture that Gary Griffith has been pursuing. Let's not waste time. And just for making certain that everybody understands categorically, the UNC has 19 seats. It has been like that from time immemorial in the present parliament, and the PNM only 22 seats out of 41. The PNM will find it difficult to retain the 2 Tobago seats. That they remain with 20, assuming that the status quo as far as the allocation of constituencies are concerned to form the next government. It is easy for the UNC to win St. Joseph, La Hoqueta, Talparo, Sangre Grande. Assuming that that is so, then 19 and 3 is how much? Yes, indeed, 19, 20, 21, 22. So it's 22 seats they would have. The reversal. And that is to be minimal. I'm talking minimal here. My personal view is 27 for the UNC. Assuming now that the Gary Griffith factor, the NTA factor, is not within the fold, I can only see a reduction in that huge constitutional majority that the UNC would have accumulated on its own. On its own. We will look at that at another time as to what are the additional seats. So what does the NTA in most quarters, but of course I have to be graduative. I have to give some more credit than others, but generically speaking, the NTA cannot have more claim in some quarters. Some analysts would say than MSJ, than COP, and than any one of the other parties. Right? That is a school of thought. But let's go to the lines after which I will make my conclusion. A pleasant good night.
Good night. I hope you hear me clearly.
Clearly.
All right, nice, thank you.
Yes.
No, I just want to bring out something to you. I know you're talking about the seats and everything.
Yes.
But what I'm saying that the people on the fence and whatnot. Remember when Rowley was there with the union holding hands with the Section 34 down in Carnage and all them things?
Yes.
Right. This to me, the people who I trying to get them on board with UNC and them. But these people telling me that the UNC not understand Kamala not as strong and as that person and doing certain things. Like when we have all them license officers checking me doing we thing and okay, they saying UNC not gathering no kind of opposition to say well people come out and let me hold something, let me do something and the union nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
Although I know UNC is the better value for the country. Because anytime UNC come in, the people benefit. When Pandey was there, $9 a barrel, and he still come bring foreign use everything, open up gate, everything, dollar for dollar, everything. Kamala bring Children Life Fund was gonna open the thing, all the education. What was saying?
My friend, you want to pause and let me make an interjection and maybe you could respond because I want to be clear because there is no room for what I consider to be misinformation, disinformation, or misunderstanding. You started by saying that here it is, the UNC is not advocating for those persons who might have been victim of whether it's licensing office, you brought out licensing officers imposing draconian measures on the people. That's one. And then, of course, you went on to say that the UNC has imposed much more salubrious, much more progressive, much more developmental policies and programs. So just now, let me just say this. If you started by saying that the UNC is not to do that, is it that you are saying that those people who are saying that UNC is not doing that would prefer to remain or decide to remain with the PNM? Is that because that is the conclusion I would have drawn. Is that what you're saying?
Lennox, I fully aware. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. People should open their eyes.
No, I'm not saying should. I'm saying, are these people saying they will remain with the PNM? That's all I'm asking. Is that simple yes or no? Okay.
No. Listen, Lennox.
Go ahead.
These people are still saying that they don't know who they, and I keep telling them, just like you, like how you trying to broadcast it to me. This is the same way I trying to broadcast. I said, who you live under better? Who that you live under better? You live under the UNC better, even though PNM had all them years. Sometimes I try to bring up, sometimes I try, God forgive me, sometimes I try, I said, look at Lavante, look at Mova, look at Point Fortin, look at these places. I said, look at what is going on now. I said, when you check with the UNC constituencies and the thing, people try. I say UNC built on educating people and trying to bring people and open people's eyes and make people intelligent, you know. The PNM is just making you slaves, you know. And you could run on a race group, you know. But when I don't know what I could do again, because I say partner right through it, you know, Lennox. I could pick up here right through, you know. But what I say, when I try to bring it to broadcast, these people will bring up some points and say UNC, not like how Rowley that went and walk on you understand what I'm saying? When Rowley went and walk on the section 34, and when I tried to tell him, I said, but he just said a mama guy earlier, look what the hardship he bringing out. He's a liar. He ain't go bring property tax. No, he bringing it in all your ass.
Yeah, but you would be surprised to what my conclusion would be. These are people in the vast minority you could do nothing for. That's the point I am making here. You know, I'm saying all that to say that. I am not going to, because let me tell you something. Every one of them, I'm sure that you would have gotten the impression that they know that. They know what you are saying. They know what the UNC is better. That's right. Yes. But they are recalcitrant. There is something that nobody has been able to discover as yet that will make them gravitate to suicide. They are suicidal. Right? That is the best I can.
But was saying some of them told me that they do vote. So when I try to bring them into the vote, I say, but the only way to get out a certain is to vote.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do for them. Let me say that.
I say, so when you do vote, you're going to live in this
No. They are expecting others to vote for them and make the right decision so that they can benefit. Understand that the vast majority of them, because when it's not just what they say to you, you know, it's when they go to bed. When they go to bed, they know the truth. They know. That is a fact. But they will not bring themselves to do the civic-minded thing of voting for the UNC in order to achieve the advancement that they know the PNM has not only disappointed but has taken away from them. Understand that?
Lennox, that is all that what you telling me is all that I just telling people, and them still tell me, and they tell me no, they could be lying. Sometimes when I sketch them, I say, you're lying to me. It's not to say you don't vote. You vote for the PNM and you're disappointed.
That is what they will do as well. That's why I said you could do nothing for them. What you have to focus on are the conscientious persons, and I agree with Gary Griffith. There is there's
a majority.
33%. Yeah, 33%. That is part and parcel of the so-called independent, if you want to call that, voters that will swing the UNC way, and they have to. That's why I'm very confident that the UNC will win the election. My difficulty is the margin of victory and whether or not the achievement of a constitutional majority is at hand, having regard to all of the shenanigans and some of the issues that you just raised, persons don't wanting to go, and providing some kind of opening for Rowley to thief the elections as well. We have to factor that into the play, because that is how they are able to the PNM has 22 seats, you know, and they had 23 seats before that. That's the best. All the thief, they say, Rowley thief. Sorry, I mean,
but UNC have 19 seats, you know.
Yeah, but saying, well, that's the point I'm making. The PNM has 22 seats and the UNC has 19. So what will make you as an individual somehow accept the pressure, the pain, the agony, the mismanagement, the corruption, and then throw a blind eye to that and go and vote for the PNM? You had to be suicidal. And therefore you have to forget them and deal with, of course, those persons, that 33% part of the population, who makes the difference in, of course, putting a government in office, even though it is 21 seats. But I don't expect 21 seats for the UNC. I expect a minimum, frankly, of 26, 27 seats. That is where I'm going. But go ahead.
Yeah, but what I say, Lennox,
yeah,
you as an intelligent person, that area, you still hasn't been able to break through to your area in Laventi area.
No.
To give you a chance, and these way they always winning.
Yeah, but they are facing the reality as well, and when they go to sleep, their conscience are there. How I know that? When the UNC wins, when the UNC wins, when the UNC is in government.
Lennox,
go ahead.
Lennox, let me be true with you. Let me be true to you. I'll say it on your live, let me be true. These people who living up there would rather lie down and suffer and say they ain't want no cool. That is how them is operate.
They want to what?
Let me not beat wrong the bush.
Well, I was going to talk to you on that same score, but you asked me to shut up, so I shut up.
I never asked you to shut up. I never asked you.
In obedience to you. In obedience to you.
Don't do that. I ain't that rude. I ain't that rude.
No,
I ain't that rude.
But I was making the point.
Me and you are that. I ain't that rude. I'll never be rude to you.
Yeah, I only taunting you. Among friends. Yeah, but listen, the same people are going further. The same people in Laverton and these places will be the first one to go out there and protest for bad roads and water, etc. Understand that? It tells me no. When the UNC is in government, they're talking about, not when the PNM is in government. I gone past that already. Now I'm telling you that they are conscious of their deteriorating circumstance, but they're waiting for others to make the breakthrough for them. And when they make the breakthrough, they then jump on board and demand services that they would not dare demand under a PNM government. Who would lead them? All you have to say is how much more gallons or liters of granite, or should I say Gramaxone you want? How much more? And they will take it. Yeah, because they're suicidal.
But you know, to me, I realize these people, I mean, I wouldn't call it, I don't want to disrespect you, that you more your eyes open than the rest of them. I want to call you more intelligent because your eyes open more and you want to live good. You know good treatment.
Yeah, them know it too. But as I said, there is an abstract force, if you want to call it that, which is really brainwashing that they have been subjected to over the years. And what we are observing is that the younger ones are protesting what the older ones of voting age are contributing to doing to them, you know. When you see gangs, and murders and young people acting with antisocial tendency, That is rebelling against what the elders have, of course, left for them, you know. Understand that. But you have to wait until they die out.
Yeah, but the hurtful thing, Lennox,
Yeah.
is that these who in your community, right? They will let PNM do what they want, and then when our next regime come in, I don't ever see administration or somebody in power and like always say what they really want to. I not give it. I not boast. I not bad in all for saying it. I don't ever say a thing in power. The only thing in power is my praise and God. You understand?
Yeah, but it's a term we use. The term we use for the people who are in office, really, who have decisions to make on behalf of the country.
It's just a break it down in a way for the lower masses to learn.
Yeah, no problem.
But one thing, I don't ever say them. But I say these people, they just go behind me, and then after next time, there is one thing's done for them in 5 years. That's so much. And it's not Lavante, it's spread from Arima all about this. One next administration. Don't ever give our next administration 10 years or 9 years like PNM. You know?
But this is the point, and here I'm coming to the back end now. That's the back end or the front end, depending on your position. The back end now is that those demands that they would now make on a non-PNM administration, it invariably, meaning that it always is concluded by a kind of discontentment that would make the government look bad, to the point where the PNM now as a political entity, the leadership of the PNM then of course moves in and claims that, listen, look what they're doing all year, etc., and then the cycle continues. That's the point I am going to make here.
Yeah, but we can't go along that road.
That's right.
No more.
That is why, let me tell you now, that is why we on the ground report, corridor transmission, etc., understand that we are even more important in terms of sending the message out there when the UNC takes government. We have a duty to keep the PNM out and attack with full force the leadership, who would of course play now that they are holier than thou, that they didn't cause the tragedy that is Trinidad and Tobago. And we are seeing it as a microcosm, meaning that as a small example in Tobago unfolding now, when of course the minority leader is claiming that he is not Lucifer, but he is something closer to maybe some kind of disciple. I wouldn't say God, some kind of disciple, and that the tragedy that is Tobago was not under the 23 or 21 years of PNM dominance in Tobago. Hold the tail. We will expose the tail here in Trinidad and in Tobago, as I have just done and will continue so to do, so that the PNM never gets back into office to do us the evil. That at the leadership level, the people will be always gullible. Those persons who would have believed, who would have been made to believe that they made a mistake by voting a UNC government. We have a responsibility to take the narrative, capture the disposition, generate the paradigm shift, and move them permanently out of the political arena, never again to raise their heads in the offices of influence in this country and decision making.
Well, of God, I wish from that mouth and that heart way, I wish that so heartfully.
Yes,
I pray to all my God for that to come true.
Yeah,
but what I say, you're dealing with the people that totally IQ.
Brainwashed. They've been brainwashed. They still know what is good. Because when a new government comes in, they make demands for that which they were neglected.
Because let me tell you, they're talking about Stuart Young
by the PNM. Yeah.
They're talking about Stuart Young for leadership of PNM. Because but
come on, you want me to cut off the phone or what? No, he did a total moron. You will see how that pans out. I don't even want to enter there, because an nincompoop like that, it shouldn't even be where he is. It's just that Rowley, birds of feather flock together, and he's prepared, of course, to keep all the secrets of this criminal called Rowley, a rapist and a pedophile. The fact that, as I would tell Hines, a rapist and pedophile is your leader, and you want to talk about Kamala Persad-Bissessar, hold on your tail. Hold on your tail, boy.
You don't still talk to Hines? You don't still talk to Hines?
I called him just the other day on a matter in his own constituency, but when we meet physically, and we are on the same pavement, same side of the pavement, he leaves and walks on the other side, because I normally will come up close to him in his ears, because nobody in order for you to tell me I defame you. No, listen. Yes, I tell you mother make him. That's right. I tell you mother make him. Can't do me nothing. So those are some of the issues. Oh gosh, well, it's way past 10 or 20 past 10. This was nice. Nice engagement.
20 past 10, man?
Yeah, really. Okay. Thanks very much for that engagement. I really enjoyed it. I will sleep good tonight. I had a good sleep during the course of the day. I realized I must do that a little more, because really, by the time I finish the ground report, I am fatigued. So I think I got a formula to take a little sleep. People will have to forgive me, and then of course I'll get up and do what I have to do. That being let me conclude by indicating the other variables that will make, of course, the PNM non-viable and, of course, not credible and not electable. What are they? Well, let me tell you once and for all. Social media. You see, Rowley consistently talks about fake news about them. Why? Because he realized that the PNM no longer has the privilege and the dominance of controlling the narrative. Understand that, people. Why you think I am so confident that the UNC will win in spite of? Because we are able, of course, not only by this medium, and by instantaneously informing you as to what is happening. You noticed that last night with Diyal Singh. Let's throw our minds back 10, 20 years ago. That what happened to Diyal Singh, nobody would have known. Nobody would have known. I remember very distinctly Maurice Marshall, one of the more popular members of the PNM. He get one slap driving up Laventry Road. No, not that slap. They blocked the road for him to come up from him passing. And he turned and said, oh God, I just negotiated for the gas station for them fellas, and they blocked the road, boy. And he cried. I used to be monitoring him and talking with him on a Sunday when he would come out in the community. One time I see him sleeping on Wharton Street in a car. First they have him hot, right? And he would tell you that, of course, the people are ungrateful, and he is disappointed. But you wouldn't hear that. That water that was thrown on Hines, you would have never hear that. You would have never hear of it. At one time, a fella called Sir, he's deceased now, hit Rowley one slap at the step by his house. That is a standing joke in, of course, St. Barb's. But you never heard of that, only now? Why? You think I could have said that 10 years ago on the radio or on television? They would not have given me the time. I would have had 2 seconds. Now I have 3 hours, and if I choose, I can go whole night and into the morning. Social media, and therefore they realize that all of their evil is now being exposed almost instantaneously as they execute it, as they produce it. You think Rowley would have wanted the issue of the Police Service Commission and his intervention that caused the almost impeachment of the president, vis-a-vis attempting, of course, to eliminate Gary Griffith? You think Rowley and them are pleased that the Vincent Nelson matter came out in the way that it has, and of course caused Anand Ram Logan and Ramdeen, 2 big fish according to them, from escaping their evil clutches? Understand that. It's social media, people. And that is why I feel confident that once the information is out there, and that 33%, that is so-called undecided grouping, they will make the difference in the marginal seats in favor of the UNC, clearly. But you never could tell. Social media could well create history in the next election. After all, without it, we had a 33-3. Without it, today, the Alsing cannot avoid the social media, what I consider to be interrogation platform. No. So social media is critical. We didn't have that before. Factor that in, and then of course see where you see what results you would get. Instantaneous information about this criminal gang. Instantaneous information about the Balize house. Instantaneous information about Rowley's encounter in the United States, and the real possibility that the Americans would be contemplating sanctions on him and certain other elements. Social media. Social media will tell you that he delayed, of course, his stay in the United States. Social media will tell you that there was, of course, Carnival in New York, and the Apollo Theater was the scene for Calypsonians and so on the big stage. And then you juxtapose that with the time that he wanted to leave, even before independence, but because social media was able to find out, he remained, so at least for independence, so it wouldn't look bad. But eventually left, and soon afterwards social media will tell you that some of his girlfriend partners left as well. People, we are in exciting times, and democracy requires the freedom of information flow to the electorate, and it is only social media, and those of us who are sufficiently committed and patriotic and creative have been able, of course, to do that for and on behalf of you. That is why you are up this hour. That is why I am up this hour, as we continue to democratize Trinidad and Tobago and to eliminate those who believe they can clandestinely, meaning that secretively, they can, of course, emasculate freedom of information flow. We have seen that, of course, with Chrysalis, the recent addendum to that emasculation. Of course, we cannot forget pushback movement under the tear gassing, under the under the charging, under the COVID regulations, but all of which has been exposed. And from coming out of that, the courts made decisions, and therefore we know now through social media that you can assemble without having to have the permission of the commissioner of police. Before that, if they arrogated unto themselves conduct that would that has gone contrary to the law. Yes, people, we know that. We tested them in San Fernando in pushback 4 when we said, all right, we looked at the law and we said we will have a prayer session and have a pilgrimage, some kind of religious march, and they denied us that. But of course we didn't have the money. We still have to have money to go to court and to take the blasted police to the courts to make sure that our rights are secured. Social media, people. Well, quite apart, of course, from social media, I had to focus on that so you understand how crucial it is that you get the information and get it out there. Get it out there on your cell phones, on your various devices, and walk with it A fella say that Rowley didn't say, or Imber didn't say the country was running on fumes. Show them it. Or he didn't say eventually and accept and confessed that he can't make with crime. Oh, indeed. Oh, indeed. That the country had over $10 billion in reserve, and today it hardly could have about 4 or 5 billion. And he was never, of course, intended to what? To increase or take away subsidies, or that the property tax that he is now saying is the panacea, only a saying, and it is a saying, that it was the most debilitating, devastating measure that any government could take back in 2008, thereabout 2009, when he wanted to overthrow money. Come on. Come on. Those are the factors. And finally, I want to say, the fact that social media has been able, of course, to make you aware of the diabolical, evil, draconian, singularly dangerous and toxic Rowley PNM is because these things happened. And because these things happened, just as how they blamed Kamala Persad-Bissessar for corruption and so on, but we were able to show them that there is no proof. Well, we have been able to show proof that they are blasted, corrupt, nepotistic, self-serving, and that they wanted to be where they claim Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her administration was. Yes, indeed. They see in others that which is in them, and the deliberate plan was always to get into government, blame others for their incompetence, impotence, as they raid the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago. People, we have come to the end of tonight's program, but of course, no program can end with me, of course, not saying what, or not sharing with you what the Alsing said. And there was a song, yes, somebody sent it as well. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Oh, they have a car? They have a car?
Down at the bar, just 5 o'clock. Terrence was chilling, talking the talk. MP of the people, he's feeling so fine.
So I am talking to my time.
One said, hey, Terrence, that's a shiny thing. Let's make it quick, don't let the bell ring.
Sitting outside by a drinking bar on the church
Brings the right then and there.
with a constituent. Two fellows walk up to me, put a gun to the head, and rob me of my business. Just letting me know we're crying.
It's all the way. He never thought in broad daylight. Case of robbery would give him a fight.
Yes, people, because a song was made immediately. Listen. So people have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the Gong Report, Andy, Michael, and myself will be on, of course. And don't forget, we have Gael Caribbean between 8 and 9 o'clock, when, of course, we will be on full television. Gael the Caribbean. It will be, of course, carried on the corridor transformation as per usual from 6 to 9, yes, early. And of course, on YouTube, you log into the corridor transformation, and then of course on Facebook you log into what? Love Laventil. Yes. Yes, indeed. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and see you tomorrow morning and tomorrow night, respectively.
It's all the way. So Terrence, now you've learned the deal. Crime is no joke, it's far too real. But if you stand up and take a lead, maybe one day we'll all be freed.
Oh, they have a car? They had a car?
Down at the bar, just 5 o'clock. Terrence was chilling, talking the talk. And the people, he's feeling so fine.
So I am chosen to go to my time.
One said, hey, Terrence, let's do anything. Let's make it right down the building.
Sitting outside diabetes bar on the street with a constituent. Two fellas walk up to me, put a gun to the head, and rob me of my jeans. Just letting me know the crime.
It's all a week. He never thought in broad daylight. Price of robbery would give you a fight. All those speeches, all those laws. Now Terrence sees the crime with no pause. He called for backup, but they didn't show. Guess the everyday folks already know. No superhero, no quick fix. Now Terrence is in the mix. Oh, Terrence, Terrence, where's your blade? Those bandits took it, now you're missing a thing. Now you know how the people feel when crime comes knocking and it's way too real. Oh, Terrence, Terrence, looking so lost. Guess you know now what safety costs. In this land where fear runs free, it's not just you, it's all of we.
I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. I don't care all who go vex with me, but Kamala I not ready to bury. She is a strong, determined woman like me, and deserve a chance to run this country. When she in power, I don't go hungry. And Calypsonian does get big money. She don't deserve no spot in my cemetery. I putting she in the center of the city. I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. I don't care all who go vex with me, but Kamala I not ready to bury. She is a strong, determined woman like me, and deserve a chance to run this country. When she in power, I don't go hungry. And Calypsonian does get big money. She don't deserve no spot in my cemetery. I putting she in the center of the city.
From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free. But sadly, Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a ball. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. she was a beauty with wealth that few surpassed. And in her day she sailed majestically. There were few in her class. Faithfully she fulfilled her sailor's need. Some were overpowered by greed, and so they pilfered slow. Some took by bulk and go. Now she looked dull, she's at a lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free. But sadly Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a ball. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. Beauty with wealth that few surpassed. And in her day she sailed majestically. There were few in her class. Faithfully she fulfilled her sailor's need. Some were overpowered by greed, and so they pilfered slow. Some took by bulk and go. Now she looked dull, she's at a lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain,